This YouTube video, JGOD video, obviously huge Verdansk leaks have me excited, but also nervous. Verdansk gameplay. Let's watch it. There have been some huge leaks, guys. I heard the Kilo, Graw, like a lot of the OG weapons are going to be coming back. I already said they need to do that 100%. They need to pull on the nostalgic heartstrings to some extent. But then what they need to do is actually nurture the game and make it very good. Like bugs and cheating, the thing that has plagued the game, and that's the only thing I feel like that has fully ruined Warzone. Because let me tell you why it has ruined it. I know then you guys are gonna think, well, no, they also don't update the game that much. They don't change the metas that much. But let me explain. Let me tell you why. Before we start this video, I'm gonna go on a yap session. Cheating and bugs have ruined it. Because the game has been infested with it for so long, it seeps into those other issues. It seeps into the content. The reason why Warzone can't do shit like Fortnite on that level is because they have so many bugs and so many issues that they always have to focus on and lock in on, that they can't spend that time and energy pushing out insane content. They're always focused on their cheating. If they can release this shit and the cheating and bugs in the game are kept to a minimum, they will never be 100%. We're online playing online video games. I don't expect, this isn't a fantasy land. I'm not asking for 100% perfection. I'm asking for 95+% perfection, like every other top AAA game. Valorant, they have cheaters, but guess what? One in a fucking blue moon. You can play for multiple sessions, probably a month, probably months of sessions without running into a cheater. Same with Fortnite, same with so many other great games, AAA games. Warzone's not that game. So if they can lock in on those things, they bring back some of that nostalgic stuff. Yes, it's going to be recycled content, but we're going to get to play it the way we never got to play it back in the day. I say back in the day, fucking 5 years ago. It is crazy. It has been 5 years. When this shit came out, we dealt with so many of those issues still. We sucked it up because we had nothing better to do. We were stuck in the house all day, but we sucked it up and we played the game and we had fun. It was a fun experience still. But that just goes to show. Imagine if the cheating and the bugs weren't as bad as they've been, and then we get the game and then we get the product and we get to play it as it's intended. Brother, I'm telling you. But like I said, the cheating has already been brought to a minimum by playing console. I'm just going to stay on console and play crossplay turned off. The sad part about that is that the game, I feel like, could thrive way more if we just had a God tier anti-cheat and we don't have to turn off crossplay and people can just play. Everyone can play together. Everyone can play with their boys or whoever you want to play with. You can play with them and everyone can play on different platforms and still feel confident that there's almost no cheaters in the game because the anti-cheat is doing its job. Let's hope that happens, but if it doesn't, I'm just sticking on console because that'll at least mitigate the cheating problems. It will not mitigate the bugs and all those other kinds of issues that the game has, the long metas that don't change forever, all that kind of stuff. Just not investing in actual content into the game. So that actually needs to that is still going to be a problem no matter what. At least with the cheating, if they don't fucking lock in on the anti-cheat, which they said they're going to do for Season 3, which is when this comes out, they said they're going to lock in on it. I expect some insane announcements about Ricochet overhaul or whatever the if it doesn't actually come to fruition, then the console stuff is what we're going to be sticking with. But anyway.
I'm going to get a little bit of Verdansk news with some leaks that came out today. And I thought I'd let them settle for a little bit so we could talk about some of those things. It's set to return in Season 3, which we were kind of already aware of. We knew at beginning of the year. We don't have 100% confirmation if it's day 1 of Season 3, which is like on the 20th.
Yeah.
Or 21st or whatever the case is in March. Or it'll be the mid-season, which will be like 3.5 to 4 weeks later, which would put it like mid-April, which would be...
I hope it's not mid-April. I hope it's mid-March. I hope it's not. I hope it's like early March, because I'm actually moving at the end of this month, and I want to be grinding Verdansk. So I'm gonna grind it anyway, even if it comes out on the 20th, right on Season 3. Then great. But I actually kind of hope it comes out in the halfway. I know you guys probably don't, but I mean that's a little selfish of me. But you know that. But yeah, what are these leaks here? It'll launch with Season 3 of Black Ops 6. It is pretty much the OG March 2020 version. Train station interior will be closed. Interior of the stadium will be open, but roof will be closed. The train returns. No fast travel subway system. Yeah, it's just the OG Verdansk.
For this next portion, where he tweeted it out, he says that nostalgia with Verdansk won't save all the problems with Warzone. Super true. I think part of the content drought has to be with for people that are big map enjoyers, which I really haven't been a big map enjoyer since Verdansk, and the only real playtime I invested in big map was during Caldera, during Iron Trials, and that was mainly for a specific reward. Caldera was like a whatever map. I still prefer Verdansk. The same way that nostalgia was kind of a huge part of Rebirth Island. We've had Rebirth Island since Blackout. It's not like it's getting played out anytime soon. If you're part of the COD community, you already know that people will play Shipment on repeat, even without camo. Like, there's people that just ride or die by that fast-paced, frantic action that they don't actually care about the gameplay loop as much. And there's a lot of people that stop playing Warzone, not only because Warzone 2 wasn't a huge miss in terms of gameplay, but they lost their skins. The Verdansk was gone. There's a lot of things, and people haven't been playing for 2 years. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. Obviously, as a player counts are good. Then you're getting the queue times faster. SBMM might be a little bit stronger, but that's another aside. And then he continues to say, Activision is hoping Verdansk can save Warzone's player decline. But nothing we've heard so far, though, suggests they'll be able to be anything significant, hoping we're wrong. And that's more of like Charlie Intel being a little bit more pessimistic, which I think a lot of people have definitely the right to be pessimistic about the way things have gone, because there's been a lot of issues.
What a shame, huh?
Front is
what a shame. I feel like even if you're like a Call of Duty dev, or you're like a Call of Duty, you're a Call of Duty dev, or you work over at Activision or whatever, like, you can't even be mad at your player base or like think that's an unfair stance for any of your players to have. I think they 100% should be able to see that. Like, what type of kind of environment they've created. They've created an environment where, like, it's a shame that the game, that everyone is always so pessimistic about everything. Cause it's like, brother, you've proven to us time and time again, like, you've gotten some things right. Here's the thing. When you get some things right and you get 90% of things wrong, people are going to be pessimistic. If you flip it the other way around and you get some things wrong, but you get mostly everything right, people will be a little more optimistic. Like, hey, yeah, some of these things are broken, but they'll get to it. We know, we could see their track record. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's, hopefully somehow that shifts in the future. Because the thing is like, some people like to act like it's not possible, but the thing is like, it is possible, right? Like physically it's possible. 100% it's physically possible to do. Why? Because other gaming companies do it. Other gaming companies have these types of relationships with their community where, like, everybody loves their shit. I continue to use Marvel Rivals as an example, but it's just because they're doing it so damn good. I think Fortnite's another great community. These are games where I think most of the time, most of the player base is pretty content. You're never going to please everybody, but still. I would assume it's like there has to be some type of whatever their assembly line looks like, whatever their workflow looks like, however they kind of do everything and structure everything, or who leads certain departments, or who kind of, you know what I'm saying? That is how it changes. I feel like that's the only way it changes. Because if we have the same people that have been doing the same stuff, I'm not saying those people can't learn and grow and become and start making better decisions and stuff. That can happen too. But like, clearly there needs to be, like, it's been 5 years. I mean, we're still dealing with a dog shit, anti-cheat, etc. But yeah, anyway.
Completely separate than the zombies front, than the multiplayer front, than the campaign front, whether, you're focusing on different elements of the game. I feel like there's certain elements about Warzone right now that are in a decent spot. And then there's a few areas that just rub people the wrong way. The cheater situation, which they're banking on that they're going to fix with some Ricochet update in this update for season 3, nobody should really have a lot of faith in them.
No.
Like, I don't even think they have a lot of faith in their own.
That's what I'm saying.
To accomplish that.
Like, there's no way they can. There's no way they can. And I need everyone to realize that if you are a dev that is watching this or some shit and you actually believe the opposite, you actually do have hope and you do believe that you should have, like, you are that way, you need to just, you're in la la land. Like, you're literally, which means we never will solve, because the first what's that saying, chat? The first way road to recovery is accepting that you have a problem, or whatever. Most of the devs hopefully understand they have a problem. I hope there's a lot of people that don't think that make sure they do think that way, because if you don't, then we are completely. But you need to just realize that there is a massive problem. Like I mean, there's been a massive problem with that for a long time. So you can't be in La La Land. Like,
we'll go ahead and have to wait and see on that because they've put a pin in it until season 3. The other part is new players coming back to the game. Leveling is incredibly slow. Not the player leveling. That's fine. That's usually a typical progression. You'll reach 55 in probably about 8 hours of playtime or something like that. It goes pretty quick. Even on the lower skilled players, maybe 12 hours or something like that, they'll probably pump out double XP. But the weapon leveling is super atrocious. So a couple ways to solve that. You either max everyone's levels out, which some people are against, some people are for, whatever. Or you make default loadouts, like on the default loadout section, which you normally don't use, make them actually good loadouts. And then when people come back, the friend can say, no, you could just use default loadout. They're
actually pretty
hard
good.
Meta. You don't even have to worry about
that's
not
so
having
true.
your guns leveled. And people
that's so
like,
true.
right, cool,
yeah,
dope.
I'll try.
Use that.
Yeah, because think about how many people are going to boot up the game. They're going to be like, oh shit, I have nothing leveled up because I didn't play Black Ops 6. I haven't played COD in years. Because the thing about it, a lot of people, like JGOD is saying, have not touched Warzone since Verdansk. We continued playing because we're delusional. But a lot of people left around that time. And so think about all the people that are going to come back. They never really played Black Ops 6 much. They really only played COD back in, their passion kind of only got sparked up during the pandemic, and they played a little bit of Warzone. But now they're coming back to try Warzone on Verdansk again because they hear that it's coming out, which is inevitably going to happen. People are going to come back and at least try it. I'm telling you, bro, I've been saying this, man. It is like, it's a make or break situation in the sense that like they have a lot riding on this. There's like, they need to make sure all these things that JGOD's talking about, having like stuff like the loadouts like available, like having meta loadouts as default loadouts off rip, those preset ones being good so that people don't just come back and instantly get off the game because they're getting fried by people that already have leveled all their shit up, like myself, like all of you that are still, any of you that are watching this that still play the game or are playing Warzone right now, you have all your shit leveled up. You're going to be ahead of the curve. The leveling is insanely slow on Black Ops 6. Most people are going to just give up. They're just going to be like, oh, fuck it. This is boring when I'm using these super shit guns. So all of those things, that's just one single aspect that, by the way, that's only one single thing. There's a plethora of other things that if they don't nail on the head, the second it comes out in the next 20 something days, when season 3 drops and Verdansk comes back, I've been saying this nonstop, but we're going to see a big spike in players. And then we're going to see a massive drop in players very quickly. Which is going to happen no matter what. A massive spike is going to happen and then a drop-off is inevitably going to happen. But how big that drop is and how long that spike lasts for is all dependent on those first impressions. So we'll see what happens in 20-something days when it's rumored to come out after the new season or after season 3 drops.
Level it up and then you'll be able to build your own class at whatever point. But that is what it is. I think that's another huge miss. I know like a lot of people will be vocal about the movement, like they don't like Omni movement. Biggest issue I've heard is a little bit of the floatiness. Hopefully they make it a little bit more snappy, which I think they're perfectly able to do. And then the other concern with the movement is people like, oh, I don't like accidentally diving when I'm trying to prone.
Yeah, I hate that.
In the settings, you can make it to put it to slide only, and then that makes it so that you won't dive. And that just basically removes that so that when you go to dive, it would just go prone and you would never dive. So that's a quick setting issue.
It is, but it's also a quick game issue because what JGOD's talking about right now, I can maybe replicate it in the firing range. What JGOD's talking about right now is so like when you go to lay down sometimes and you're sprinting, like you go prone, you have to like stop your whole body first before you can, or you're going to do a dive, right? Or sometimes you're trying to go prone and you just can't. You're sliding. See you do a slide instantly and then you stand right back up when you hold it again. It's just the choppiness. Sometimes you get stuck in that transition and going low, and he's saying you just go in and turn slide only on. That is a fix, obviously, and that's what you should be using at the default. But there's some people like me that like to use this setting right here, which is hybrid, which I guess is the same thing. It's still the same thing. It's still tap the slide, right? But that doesn't still solve the issue that is happening right now, which is sometimes when you're like, I'm in a gunfire right here with this guy, I'm in a gunfire right here with this guy, and then I want to go prone and take cover behind this thing. Sometimes if I'm moving around and I'm running around like this, I can try to go prone here. Watch. Like, okay, listen, it's hard to replicate, I guess. I'm dog shit. But it happens regularly. It's hard to explain it, but when you're in a gunfight, sometimes you just and cannot prone sometimes, bro. You still snaking this? A little bit. I think the reason why that setting changed a little bit is because of snaking. I think it was because they wanted to solve snaking. And they added kind of a little bit of a delay on it or some shit. But anyway.
Maybe like when they like bring on new players that'll be coming back to the game after multiple years, they can say that slide only would be like Verdansk 1 or whatever the case is, so that people understand that if you don't want to dive, it's either a skill issue or a setting issue, and you could either stop moving the stick and then go prone and you will not dive accidentally.
This is pissing me off insanely, but this guy's passing up a gold gas mask. Look at this. What? Tell me why this guy's passing up a gold gassy.
Either stop moving the stick and then go prone and you will not dive accidentally, or you change the setting and then that. So I think those are some of the issues that they'll have to address with onboarding new players coming back to the game that haven't played since the integration, that haven't played all of MW3, which is a pretty decent year for the most part, especially with all the content updates, camos, and those types of things. And then you have Warzone 2, which was a huge miss. Generally, the only people that really liked that year were the people that kind of got sucked into DMZ, which the game was kind of built around DMZ. And for the most part, DMZ started out okay, but it kind of just went down.
Chad, I got to pause it again for just a second here and talk about something crazy. Think about this, bro. You're a gaming company and you catch lightning in literally a bottle, okay? Warzone 1. The pandemic is happening, so obviously that has a huge influence. There's no question about it, but the game itself, people love it, man. It feels great, okay? It has a lot of issues, cheaters and bugs and issues, and it's still such a good game that so many people still played it. Through all of that, thick and thin, okay? You catch lightning in a bottle in 2019. You decide you're going to try to reinvent the wheel, okay? You already had something that was phenomenal. All you have to do is now nurture it, fucking add new content, nurture it, fix these bugs and issues, and make it a seamless, smooth experience, and then boom, start to add content regularly. Okay, keep the game interesting, keep it fun. New maps, new modes, new skins, new. When I say skins, by the way, I'm talking about ones you can actually rank up and grind. Okay, then you decide to, like I said, reinvent the wheel. Okay, let's do Warzone 2.0. And let's forget about what made Warzone massive. And let's actually try to bite off way more than we can chew and create, because Tarkov was gaining a lot of hype and all these other games were gaining, these extraction shooters around that time were gaining a lot of hype. Let's actually deviate from what really worked with us and worked for us and try to go do it again with DMZ. Which, you know what? I will say this one thing. Obviously, a lot of people don't always know when that lightning in a bottle is going to be caught. That's why you have to try doing different things. So I don't knock them for trying something new, but Warzone needing to take a massive hit and that being their main focal point instead of the other way around. It should have been Warzone's the main focal point, because that is the big, that's their big ticket. That's what did really, really well. And then DMZ could just be the side thing that we slowly build up over time. That is not what they did. What they did, clearly, like what JGOD's talking about right now, let me just turn this audio down so we can listen to this video still a little bit. What they did instead was they built all of Warzone 2 around DMZ with the backpack mode and the AI and all of those things that nobody wanted. And it was not in Warzone 1, and nobody wanted any of this shit. No more floating loot. Like, the game just looks, again, it's an extraction shooter. It was built to be that. That was the DNA of that game. And then they just kind of, it's like they had that game, DMZ, and then added Warzone in as a mode versus the other way around. It should have been, let's keep Warzone, and then like we could maybe try to have DMZ in there as well. That is crazy. That is crazy that they ever did that. It's in the past now, so it is what it is. You can't fucking, we've moved on, but I'm just bringing that back up because it's a fucking mind boggler to think about. That's for sure. It's a mind boggler for sure.
It kind of just went downhill. It wasn't supported properly, and it ended up being a huge miss as the reason it didn't continue to get supported. But supposedly rumors that it'll come back at a later time. And he also goes on to say, we've heard some creators play tested Verdansk a few weeks back and gave feedback on the map. It's not clear what was played and what the feedback was taken into account, especially with such a short time frame. It was only a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, like
later rumors still remain that the map is expected to launch with season 3, so not the mid-season. So they still have time to push it. If it's not ready, please do not push it out on the start of season 3.
I agree.
If it is not ready, I will always recommend to delay
I agree.
it if it is not bulletproof. Right?
I love when a gaming company can just be transparent and make a tweet or make a post and say, hey guys, I know you're not going to like this, but the game is just not ready. It's just not ready. Therefore, we're going to wait and we're going to push this shit out when it's ready. We'll let you guys know. We'll keep you updated, and we're working diligently to do so. I would much prefer that than receive a hot piece of garbage and then have to fucking suck it up and deal with that, and then them like duct tape it over time while we're playing it, and it's putting a bad taste in our mouth. Just give us something good off rip, because first impressions are everything. First impressions are fucking literally everything, man.
Right? It needs to be bulletproof if you're having people come back to the game and expecting some issues, right? Non-negotiable if people load up, shadow bans, bugs. There's a few of those things. I'm excited for Verdansk, though. Obviously, there's a little bit of a nostalgia element, but in terms of big map, I don't think any of the big maps we've had have come remotely close.
No,
Al-Mazrah was okay.
not even close.
Warzone 2's looting and movement held down that game pretty heavily. Riousx stands all right, but the map flows a little bit weird with all the water.
It's dog shit.
Caldera was Caldera. It just kind of missed so many marks off the rip. The vehicles with the airplane. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that could be said, but I think we're looking forward to hopefully a new map dropping.
It ended up being good. Like, a lot of people actually remember Caldera like I actually have fond memories of the end of Caldera, but a lot of people are quick to forget how dog shit that map was off rip. It was terrible. There were so many issues. Console didn't even work on that game. The map itself, the flow of it, there was 50% more foliage at the beginning of the map versus the end of the map. The end of the map, they ended up doing this update where they took out like 50% of the trees and the bushes and the rocks and shit that made it impossible to see anybody. It's good to have cover, but like too much or too little is a bad thing. You need that sweet spot. You know what I mean? Again, I got some fond memories, but it was not like we have not had a map. I'll tell you, there's only actually one other map that was as good as Verdansk, and it was Al-Mazrah. I actually really did like Al-Mazrah. I like Verdansk more, but I think I like Al-Mazrah second. The issue with Al-Mazrah is that because it was paired with a shit gaming experience with Warzone 2.0, it's kind of remembered that way. Versus like if we would have got Al-Mazrah, if we would have gotten Al-Mazrah with Black Ops 6 or with Warzone MW3, then wow, I guaranteed people would even like it even more. So that's basically it, folks.